Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Auto Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. At the same time, on the other side, Xiong glanced at Zhang Yu's departing figure, and then stopped paying attention. It was because he had more important things to do at the moment. After the divine power of a great figure in the Ministry of Health reversed his vasectomy, Xiong initially didn't feel any different about himself. He returned to the examination hall, and began to practice the Tiangong Qigong. But with this cultivation, accompanied by the circulation of mana, and the condensation of strands of pure Yanggong Qi, Xiong gradually felt his whole body becoming hot and restless. What made Xiong even more at a loss was that a series of beautiful figures began to uncontrollably appear in his mind. There was Bai Zhenjin, Yu Mulin, Zhang Pianpian, and various female classmates he had seen at Bai Long High School, and even the female students present from Xiandu. These graceful figures appeared back and forth, just like endless distracting thoughts, gradually making Xiong restless and weakening his control over the Gang Qi. Until finally, all the beautiful figures disappeared, leaving only the last one. It was none other than Li Zulian, the daughter of real person Xinghe and Xiong's senior sister. As Li Zulian's figure appeared, Xiong suddenly realized that his senior sister was actually very beautiful, and her body exuded a mature attraction that made his breathing heavier. The age gap of over 100 years, and her status as the daughter of real person Xinghe made him a little excited just thinking about it. Seeing that the pure Yanggong Qi was about to lose control, Xiong suddenly came back to his senses. No. How can I lose to Li Zulian? He bit his tongue, and then began to recall Zhang Yu, Song Hailong, Chu Qi, and Zhang Wenwo in his mind. Especially Song Hailong, Xiong found that every time he recalled the other party, the heat in his body would lessen a bit, allowing him to continue practicing the Tiangong Qi Gong. On the other side, Bai Zhenjin had already wholeheartedly devoted herself to the deduction of the myriad swords without end technique in her mind. She didn't even hear about Zhang Yu completing the exam. At this moment, her face was flushed, and her rapidly running brain emitted layers of heat, giving off bursts of white vapor. And in Bai Zhenjin's mind, there was another Zhang Yu that she had imagined, leading boundless unfettered Cloud Gang, fighting with her. As the sword moves of the myriad swords without end technique were displayed one by one, Bai Zhenjin's figure became faster and faster, more and more flickering, shuttling through the unfettered Cloud Gang with layers of electric light, just like a bolt of lightning tearing through the clouds, gradually tearing a flaw in Zhang Yu's body. Finally, accompanied by a rumbling thunder, Bai Zhenjin finally defeated Zhang Yu in her mind. And at this moment, she also understood that this was because she could no longer find the flaws in her own sword strikes, so the Zhang Yu she simulated was defeated. At the same time, a sword intent rose from her mind, and the various sword moves of the myriad swords without end technique flowed through her heart one by one, as if she had practiced them thousands of times. The intent precedes the thought. The sword moves with the will. This is the true mystery of the myriad swords without end technique. Sword moves are not important at all. What is important is the unending sword intent that is condensed. Bai Zhenjin felt that with the condensation of this unending sword intent, she could graft any sword move into the myriad swords without end technique, and even create new sword moves on the spot in order to break the opponent's moves. The moves of the myriad swords without end technique can actually be infinite. As long as there is the blessing of the unending sword intent, one can freely display sword moves, graft sword moves, and even create moves to break moves. The unending sword intent is the key, but mediocre people need to repeatedly practice tens of thousands of sword moves, turning all kinds of possibilities into instinct, before they can let the intent precede the thought, and the sword move with the will. And geniuses like me only need to comprehend the sword intent within, and they will naturally learn the myriad swords without end technique. Bai Zhenjin smiled confidently, and when she looked around, she found that many of the students present had disappeared. Later, she learned that they had all cultivated the martial arts they had chosen, and gone to the rest room to rest. Has Xiong not succeeded yet? Bai Zhenjin looked towards Xiong, but found that the other party's face was red, and he quickly turned his head away, looking like he was very afraid of her. What's going on? At this moment, Huang Ziku came to Bai Zhenjin, and said, I have already felt your unending sword intent. The exam is over. Go to the room next door to rest. As time passed, 2 hours were about to pass, and there were fewer and fewer students left on the field. When Xiong, with a pale face and a look of exhaustion, completed the cultivation of the Tiangong Qigong. At this moment, only the last few students remained in the entire arena. Huang Ziku looked at the time, and then at Li Tongyin, who was still trying, and said indifferently, "There is only 1 minute left." Li Tongyin cultivated even more desperately, but she still couldn't succeed. When the exam time ended, she quickly said, "I have succeeded in my cultivation, examiner. I really succeeded." Huang Ziku ignored her, and directly used his divine power to drag out Li Tongyin, who had a deathly pale face, and the other few candidates who had also failed. And Li Tongyin understood that with the complete failure of the foundation establishment exam, it wouldn't be long before she became a company asset. After a while, the remaining candidates all returned to the examination hall. Yanjing came to Ye Lingxiao and asked, "Are you cultivating a 10-star difficulty technique?" Ye Lingxiao said indifferently, "Myriad swords without end technique." Yunjing curled his lips. The other party had left the arena 5 minutes earlier than him. Ye Lingxiao had obviously won this round. Ye Lingxiao was not surprised by this. When he spent an hour and a half to master the myriad swords without end technique, he could be sure that he would definitely be the first in this competition. Yunjing thought to himself, "HMPH, I am indeed inferior to him in martial arts cultivation. If this exam was about martial arts combat, that would be great." Seeing Ye Lingxiao's indifferent look, Yanjing's unhappiness at not getting first place seemed to increase a bit. Just then, Yunjing suddenly saw Zhang Yu not far away. He smiled slightly and asked, "If it were you, how many stars of difficulty could you master in 32 minutes? Ye Lingxiao was slightly stunned, a figure flashing through his mind, and he asked strangely, 32 minutes? He thought for a moment and said, 7-star difficulty should be no problem. As for 8-star, it depends on the specific technique." Ye Lingxiao looked at Yunjing. "So, what, exactly, are you trying to say?" Yunjing pointed in Zhang Yu's direction and said, "That number 55, he mastered the 8-star difficulty spring-autumn endless Zen in 32 minutes. Ye Lingxiao was slightly stunned, and looked in Zhang Yu's direction. At the same time, the rankings of the third martial arts exam appeared on the screen. First place number 23. Second place number 11. Third place number 56. Fourth place number 55. Seeing this ranking, Ye Lingxiao instantly realized that Yanjing was not talking nonsense. He looked at Zhang Yu, incredibly shocked. 32 minutes to master spring-autumn endless Zen? Ye Lingxiao's first thought was, could he do it himself? The answer was that he probably could, but the timing would be extremely tight. So Ye Lingxiao thought to himself, this number 55's aptitude and ability in cultivating techniques are actually not inferior to mine. This was the first time, besides members of the Ye family, that Ye Lingxiao had encountered an opponent who was on par with him in this regard. Yunjing smiled beside him and said, "If this person didn't choose an 8-star technique for some reason, his score might have been higher than yours." As a genius in technique cultivation, someone who could understand after seeing it once and master it after learning it once, Ye Lingxiao felt that he could guess some of the reasons. Could it be that this number 55 had already mastered most of the 10-star or 9-star techniques? The remaining ones he didn't master were all ones he didn't like, so he chose an 8-star technique. Recalling number 55's performance in the previous 2 exams of mono and physique, Ye Lingxiao suddenly felt that this was very likely. This guy doesn't care about the rankings at all. Damn it, I only got 4th place in this round. Is the 8-star difficulty not hard enough? Zhang Yu looked at the ranking above, and thought to himself, a bunch of rich deadbeats. If I were rich enough, I would definitely surpass all of you. Then, Zhang Yu looked at Yu Xingyan behind him, and asked, "Why are you hiding behind me, kid?" Yu Xingyan held Zhang Yu's shoulders, and said, "Don't move, just block for me." Bai Zhenjin leaned her head over, curiously asking, "Why do you look at me so strangely? Like the eyes of those slackers in ordinary high schools." Yu Xingyan said with a pained expression, "Never mind me." He pointed at Bai Zhenjin, and said, "Stay away from me." Yu Xingyan had never realized before that Bai Zhenjin was so beautiful. Although she was still not as good as Li Zulian in his heart, she made him feel restless, especially as the pure Yankee in his body became more and more agitated. This feeling made him, who had always been extremely self-controlled, very uncomfortable. Xiong sighed inwardly. If I had known that the reversal surgery would have such a big side effect, creating such a huge weakness for no reason, I shouldn't have chosen the heavenly Yankee technique. Bai Zhenzhen curiously said, "Oh? You're afraid of me getting close to you?" Xiong nodded repeatedly and said, "Don't get close to me." Bai Zhenzhen held out her hand and said, 500 for a do not disturb fee. Xiong was so angry that his breathing became heavier. Okay, I'll give it to you when we get back. As the light screen appeared, displaying the ranking of the third exam, the eyes of many people on the scene converged on Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenzhen. Dai Xingji looked at Zhang Yu and thought to himself, finished in 32 minutes, ranked 4th. That means he completed an ultra-high star difficulty technique in 32 minutes? It shouldn't be 10 star, otherwise he would be ranked 1st. Even so, Dai Xingji realized that Zhang Yu must have an extremely terrifying ability to learn techniques. Having this kind of ability, and still being able to grow to participate in the foundation establishment exam, he must be super rich. As expected, he's just a rich person who doesn't care about the ranking in this round and is just showing off a little. And that woman. Dai Xingji looked at Bai Zhenzhen. Being able to rank 3rd in this exam also shows her ability. Moreover, this woman seems to be very familiar with number 55. They should be rich people who hang out together. Thinking of this, Dai Xingji's eyes also became serious. The true strength of these two guys may not be much worse than Ye, Lingxiao, and Yanjing. Another strong contender for the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate. As the ranking of the third exam appeared, after a moment, the total score ranking for today was also announced. Ye Lingxiao in 1st place and Yanjing in 2nd place were without suspense. Next was Bai Zhenzhen in 14th place and Zhang Yu in 15th place. Although Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenzhen's rankings were not high in the eyes of many students, these two were wealthy outsiders who had not tried their best and their true strength was unfathomable. Deng Bingding looked at the many students and said, "The top 20 remain, the rest are eliminated and prepare to leave." Looking at the remaining 20 students, Deng Bingding nodded with satisfaction. According to her set of grading standards for ants, cattle and horses, and humans, the level of these 20 in front of her could be considered as having 1 foot in the door of humans. Deng Bingding looked at the remaining 20 students in front of him and encouraged them. "I have already distributed the rights to use the cultivation methods you just learned to all of you. This is a promotion reward prepared by the Heavenly Court for the candidates on the 1st level, to encourage you. I hope that you will not be arrogant or impetuous in the future, but continue to be brave and diligent, strive hard on the path of immortality, and be able to reach higher levels in the future, and serve the Heavenly Court, and the sect." After encouraging the students present, Deng Bingding went on to talk about the next round of exams. The time for the next round of exams is October 15th, and the location is still here. But unlike this comprehensive exam, the second round is a specialized exam. Each of you must choose one of the 4 tracks: Tao Heart, Mana, Physical Education, and Martial Arts to participate in. The reason for keeping you here is to arrange your registration. Under the guidance of the righteous God, the students present took out their mobile phones and logged into the registration website. According to Deng Bingding, after this reform of the Foundation Establishment Examination, there have also been slight changes in the registration for the 4 tracks. Each student can register for 2 tracks. This is to facilitate adjustments based on the student's total score in the first round, when there are too few people in some tracks, or too many people in others. In short, it is to better discover talents on the first level, make the distribution of people on the 4 tracks more balanced, and also to avoid too many strong players being eliminated in one track. Zhang Yu frowned slightly when he heard this register for 2 tracks. "But Asian and I only discussed 1 track. Won't this end up adjusting us into the same track after all the adjustments?" Zhang Yu also wanted to discuss it with Bai Zhenzhen, but the righteous God had just prohibited communication between candidates. This was clearly a requirement for them to independently complete the registration at this moment, after being informed of the rule changes. "Then I can only rely on my tacit understanding with Asian." According to the original agreement with Bai Zhenzhen, Zhang Yu would apply for physical education, and Bai Zhenzhen would apply for martial arts. Now that there was a second registration option, Zhang Yu had to choose between Tao Heart and Mana. Tao Heart, or Mana. Thinking of his performance in the first Mana exam, Zhang Yu sighed inwardly unconsciously, "Because I neglected to continue training my control over Mana, Asian is already better than me in this aspect, right?" Thinking of this, Zhang Yu chose Tao Heart as his second option. After a while, as the candidates on the scene completed their registration one by one, all the data appeared in front of the righteous gods. Dang Bingding nodded. Sure enough, Yunjing and Yeling Shao have avoided each other. It seems they have some tacit understanding. Huang Ziku said, it would be a pity to eliminate either of these two, if they were to meet on the same track. Deng Bingding's gaze swept over the registration choices of the third, fourth, and fifth place finishers in total score, and he said, let's start adjusting. In Deng Bingding's view, the first thing to determine was naturally the tracks of Yeling Shao and Yunjing, who were in first and second place. Simply because the strength of these two people had a qualitative difference from the remaining 18 students present. Deng Bingding thought to himself, which two tracks Yeling Shao and Yunjing are placed in, those will be the tracks where they are the winners. So after some discussion among the righteous gods, they placed Yeling Shao in the physical education track he had applied for, and Yunjing in the martial arts track he had applied for. Then, they continued to group the remaining students according to their scores from high to low, especially trying to separate the top 10 players from Yeling Shao and Yunjing as much as possible. With the righteous gods' high-speed thinking and operation in the network, the candidates for each track in the second round of exams were quickly adjusted. Huang Ziku glanced at the positions of Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin and thought to himself, these two guys are a bit unlucky. Zhang Yu was arranged into the physical education track, while Bai Zhenjin was arranged into the martial arts track. In the eyes of the righteous gods, physical education and martial arts were simply death groups because of the existence of Yeling Shao and Yunjing. All the contestants other than Yeling Shao and Yunjing were destined to be eliminated. Huang Ziku thought, but even if Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin are eliminated this year, they can still take the exam again next year. Although these two poor people have amazing potential and seem to have a mysterious backer, they are still missing a year of cultivation, after all. Let them go back and settle down for a year before coming back. He knew that the main purpose of this foundation establishment examination reform was to discover more talents and send them upwards. Then, the most reasonable choice would be to divide the lower scoring players into the groups of Yeling Shao and Yunjing as much as possible, and divide the remaining high scoring players into the other two groups as much as possible. In the eyes of the examiners, it was not a pity to eliminate players like Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin, who could participate in the foundation establishment examination again next year, in the next round. As the righteous gods finished their deliberations, a light curtain immediately appeared in front of the 20 students present, showing the groupings for the next round of exams. Looking at the grouping results, some breathed a sigh of relief, some looked nervous, and some looked helpless. There were all kinds of different reactions. The first thing Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin checked, of course, was whether the two of them had ended up in the same group. When they found that they were each in the physical education track and the martial arts track, they both breathed a slight sigh of relief. But then, when they discovered the opponents in their respective tracks, their expressions immediately became serious. Number 23. Zhang Yu looked at Yeling Shao and thought to himself, am I going to compete with this guy? Recalling Yeling Shao's performance in the 3 exams today, Zhang Yu thought, damn it, this guy definitely has a cheat, right? The cheat he's using is even bigger than mine, right? Rich and cheating. Number 23, you deserve to die. At this moment, Zhang Yu really hoped that Yeling Shao would be killed in a car accident when he went out. But he thought about it and knew it was impossible. Not to mention whether a car could kill him, the protection around him must be extraordinary. You book, in the end, it's still because you're not strong enough. If you were a little stronger, would I need to worry about this here? In the end, I still have to rely on myself to upgrade you. At first, Zhang Yu thought that book was his cheat. Later, after improving his strength through his own efforts time and time again, Zhang Yu felt that book was just his potential. Now, thinking that he still had to find a way to hunt evil gods to upgrade book, he felt like he was book's cheat. On the other side, Bai Zhenjin looked in the direction of Yunjing. This person is number 11, right? Damn it, they actually put me in the same group as him. Is this a fix? Can his family suddenly go bankrupt? Bai Zhenjin scratched her head in annoyance, thinking to herself, martial arts exam, there will eventually be actual combat, right? To defeat this guy. She began to constantly recall Yunjing's performance in the 3 exams today, and carefully recorded every detail, unwilling to let go of any of them. Yu Xingyan looked at the physical education group he had been assigned to. Although he frowned slightly, he was not too frustrated. After all, according to his own psychological preparation, he didn't think he could grab the foundation establishment qualification certificate this year. It was already good enough to get this far. All right, Deng Bingding said, everyone has seen the list. That's all for today. Everyone, go back and prepare well for the next round of exams. After speaking, Deng Bingding pointed to the passage where everyone had come from, signaling that everyone could leave. Just as Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin were walking towards the passage, they found that Ye Lingxiao was walking beside them at some point. After discovering Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin beside him, Ye Lingxiao made eye contact with the two of them and nodded to each other as if to say hello. Not far away, Dai Xingji looked at this scene and thought to himself, Ye Lingxiao actually took the initiative to say hello to them. Sure enough, they are regarded by Ye Lingxiao as figures of the same level. Thinking that when he and Zhang Yu came in together, he secretly looked down on the other party's identity as a foreigner, Dai Xingji couldn't help but smile bitterly in helplessness. Alas, it's good to be rich. Even if you're not in Xiandu, you're still awesome. After Ye Lingxiao made eye contact with Zhang Yu, he said, today's exam, is it not worth you using your full strength? Zhang Yu's spirit suddenly shook when he heard this, and he thought to himself, what does he mean? Is this the bullying language of Xiandu? Is he mocking my poor performance today? Ye Lingxiao continued, but in the next round of competition, you won't be able to get by without using your full strength. I will look forward to competing with you then. Then see you at the summit. The summit that Ye Lingxiao was talking about referred to the second level of Kongshu. After all, from his point of view, with the level of performance shown by Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin, even if they didn't pass the foundation establishment qualification certificate, there was absolutely no problem in passing the second level in the future. Watching Ye Lingxiao fall into the black hole under his feet and disappear without a trace, Zhang Yu's mind was filled with the fighting spirit expressed in the other party's eyes. The next moment, he and Bai Zhenjin also fell into the hole and were teleported back to the toilet in the train station. That guy, Zhang Yu thought to himself, was he not being sarcastic? Zhang Yu clenched his fist slightly. Don't worry, I will definitely give you a surprise in the next exam. Back at the train station, looking at the gray night sky, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin didn't dare to stay in Xiandu for too long and left the high-consumption city not long after buying train tickets. As the train started, Zhang Yu had just felt a little relaxed when the ritual rang again. Alas! With a sigh, Zhang Yu could only come to the corridor next to him and practice the boundless spring and autumn meditation. Seeing Zhang Yu like this, Bai Zhenjin cursed inwardly, still grinding. After experiencing 3 exams in a row, Bai Zhenjin only felt extremely tired in her heart at this moment, and couldn't muster the interest to continue cultivating at all. But thinking of the opponents she and Zhang Yu had to face in the next round of exams, Bai Zhenjin could also understand Zhang Yu's mood. You must be very anxious now. Alas, being anxious won't help. At least rest on the train first, after just finishing the exam. Just as Bai Zhenjin was thinking this, her phone vibrated. Hello. Only to hear a gentle but polite female voice from the other end of the phone. May I ask if this is Miss Bai Zhenjin? We understand that you have a loan with interest due next month. We happen to have an installment plan promotion with discounted handling fees. Bai Zhenjin hung up the phone. Thinking about the more than 20,000 yuan in interest due next month, and the less than 10,000 yuan in her bank account, she felt she couldn't just lie down and do nothing. Sigh, it's good that I passed the first round of foundation establishment exams. But the money's all gone. The pressure of repaying debts, the intensity of the exams, the bleak future, all of this immediately diluted Bai Zhenjin's original joy of passing the first round of foundation establishment exams and learning the limitless sword art for free. Although she could barely manage to cover her loan repayments and basic cultivation expenses with her tutoring income. But when she thought of the opponents in the foundation establishment exams, Bai Zhenjin felt strongly that basic cultivation was far from enough. If I want to continue improving rapidly, I have to throw money at it. Throw money. And throw more money. What can I do to make big money when I get back this time? After pondering for a moment, Bai Zhenjin shared her worries with Zhang Yu. Then, a fierce look suddenly appeared on Bai Zhenjin's face, and she said, why don't we just officially join the Dark Learning Gang and participate in gang fights to earn money? At this moment, Bai Zhenzhen's strength had reached the level of a senior in high school, reaching the late stage of key refining. Moreover, she had the blessing of a true spirit root, as well as several level 10 cultivation techniques after deductions, and she also possessed the limitless sword art, making Bai Zhenzhen's words carry a chilling aura. Zhang Yu frowned and said, "Participate in gang fights, officially join a gang." He worried, "Will we have to kill people?" Bai Zhenzhen nodded, equally worried, "Killing people is indeed." Sigh. Bai Zhenzhen sighed, "Although the Dark Learning Gang provides guarantees, what if the compensation after killing someone ends up being more than we earn? Are you worried about that?" Zhang Yu looked at Bai Zhenzhen, helplessly. Even though he had been living here for almost a year, he still couldn't keep up with the thinking of these Kungshu natives sometimes. Bai Zhenzhen continued, "Then how about I participate in cultivation technique modification? Or we could just sell what we learned this time. This kind of high-quality stuff must sell for a lot of money, right?" Thinking of this, Bai Zhenzhen's eyes were already shining. Zhang Yu understood. Bai Zhenzhen wanted to sell pirated copies of the limitless sword art she had learned. Zhang Yu said helplessly, "Why are you talking more and more like a criminal, more and more dangerous? If you get caught selling such a precious cultivation technique, you're done for." Bai Zhenzhen said matter-of-factly, "Can poor people like us earn big money without doing dangerous work? Will safe and profitable jobs be available to us? If we hadn't learned something good this time, we wouldn't even be able to do this job, even if we wanted to." Zhang Yu sighed again helplessly and said, "Let me think about it." He originally thought that after becoming stronger, he could earn more money through tutoring or something. But after seeing the strength of the Xiandu fellows this time, Zhang Yu felt more and more that money was still not enough. So, regarding the next arrangement, Zhang Yu wanted to consult a guy. A moment later, taking advantage of Bai Zhenzhen's trip to the bathroom, Fuji was awakened by Zhang Yu. Huff after a groan, Fuji said lazily, "How is it? Did you pass the first round of the foundation establishment exam?" Zhang Yu nodded and explained the general situation. Fuji was overjoyed upon hearing this. As an evil guide with rich scamming experience, she immediately sensed from Zhang Yu's words his worries about the upcoming foundation establishment exam. Fuji thought to herself, "This kid won't be able to resist for long. He will definitely hunt my colleague to further enhance his potential." Fuji understood this very well. After all, just listening to Zhang Yu's description, she could feel the power of those Xiandu students. Especially number 23 and number 11 in Zhang Yu's words, their strength was far ahead. And when she heard Zhang Yu's thoughts on how to make money, Fuji said directly, "Deeply cultivating in the dark tutoring world is indeed a good route. It's just that modifying cultivation techniques and deducing cultivation techniques are too deep. Your current strength can't handle it yet." "Zhang Yu, what about becoming a gold medal teacher in the Dark Learning Gang? With our current level, how much can we earn?" Fuji said, "If you want to become a gold medal teacher in the Dark Learning Gang, you will also face gang struggles. For example, teachers from the opposite side come to challenge you, local gangs target you, and the company's security team pursues you. After becoming a gold medal teacher in the Dark Learning Gang, the more you earn, the more famous you become, the more terrifying the attacks you encounter, and the stronger the strength you need. It's not enough strength again?" Zhang Yu found that going around and around, it seemed to have come back again. At this moment, Fuji said, "In fact, with your own terrifying potential, if you are promoted again, in my opinion, even if you can't make a lot of money, it will be enough to pass the foundation establishment exam. Rather than being deeply involved in gang struggles with insufficient strength, it's better to improve your potential." Zhang Yu knew that the other party was talking about hunting evil gods and improving potential. And this time, Zhang Yu did not object, but asked a question. "If you want to hunt your colleagues, you need to know his information. What are you going to do?" Fuji was overjoyed and immediately said her plan. "The shadow, goo, that the other party planted last time, has been completely absorbed by me. The instruction preset by the other party in the shadow, goo, is to transmit the message when you log into the Asking Dao Hall. As long as we follow you Xingen and log into the Spirit Realm Asking Dao Hall, again like last time, I can send fake messages to the other party. Through fake messages, we can invite the king into the urn, trick the other party out, and find out the other party's identity and strength. Then find a chance to track the other party's information, and find a chance to suppress him severely." Zhang Yu said, "Then it goes back to my question just now. Even with Yu Xing'an's connections, logging in still costs 100,000 yuan. Where do I have so much money now? Then I still have to work to save money first. Fuji said as if she had been prepared for this. You have to cultivate and work. When will you save this money? There are only 2 months left before the next round of exams. I thought of a way for you to earn some pocket money. Zhang Yu asked curiously, what way? Fuji smiled mysteriously and said, you have a unique place on your body that can be sold for a good price. Zhang Yu was slightly stunned. After thinking for a moment, his face stiffened, and he lowered his voice and said, are you going to castrate me? And sell that thing? At this moment, Zhang Yu found that the first thought in his mind was how much money can that thing sell for? Zhang Yu sighed in his heart. Zhang Yu. You are a birth. How did you become like this now? Are you willing to sell even your own flesh and blood for a little stinky money? Where is your shame? Where is your noble earth soul? Alas, few earthlings can come here and not go crazy. This is also an expedient measure for me to climb the immortal path. The latest and most complete novels are on 69shu.com. Just when Zhang Yu secretly felt ashamed of his thoughts, he heard Fuji say speechlessly, are you sick? Why would I let you sell that? Zhang Yu breathed a sigh of relief, but thinking that this evil god refuted it so much that the moral integrity seemed to be higher than his own, the shame in his heart rose even higher. Fuji said, this is a production tool for you. It's a hen that lays golden eggs. Why would you dig it up and sell it directly? Zhang Yu found that he still overestimated the quality of this evil god. He frowned and said, you want me to go sell my body? Can this earn more than tutoring? Fuji became more and more speechless and said, how can that kind of work without any technical content earn more than tutoring? She said with disappointment, I want you to sell your essence and get some protein to sell. Ah. Zhang Yu was shocked. Can this be sold for money? Fuji said, of course, it depends on whose protein it is and who it is sold to. At least with your current performance, it shouldn't be a big problem to sell it to Red Pagoda Animal Husbandry to earn some pocket money. Because your rate of progress shows a kind of potential and talent. They will be interested in your blood and genes. And don't you have acquaintances in Red Pagoda High School? Let him give you a line. Fuji smiled and said, as for whether Red Pagoda Animal Husbandry can get anything from your protein, that is obviously impossible. Your strength comes from the potential that I have stimulated, which has nothing to do with your blood, genes, or anything. Protected area. Inside the incubation room of the breeding base. Zhang Wenwu, who was spitting out, felt the vibration of his mobile phone. When he opened it, he saw the message sent by Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu, I want to sell my. Zhang Yu looked at the message sent by Zhang Wenwu. Zhang Wenwu, aren't you castrated? Zhang Yu, I had a recovery operation. Zhang Wenwu, oh. Zhang Wenwu, I don't accept it. Zhang Yu said to Fuji in exasperation, look, people don't accept it at all. Fuji said, why are you in a hurry? This is a gray area in Red Pagoda. Talk to him as I said. So Zhang Yu sent a message to Zhang Wenwu again. Zhang Yu, I mean, can you help me get a line to see if Red Pagoda Animal Husbandry accepts it? Zhang Yu, I will send you the various body data measured during my last monthly exam. Zhang Yu, absolutely excellent male high school student, can you ask your company if they are interested? After a while, Zhang Wenwu returned the message. Zhang Wenwu, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, 32nd floor of Red Pagoda building in the city center. Go to manager Zhong Haohan, he will talk to you. Zhang Yu, thank you. When I sell more and make money, I will definitely thank you. Bai Zhenjin, who had returned to her seat, looked at Zhang Yu's happy appearance and asked suspiciously, did you win the lottery? Zhang Yu smiled and said, Zhen, do you know what's different between me and you? Bai Zhenjin asked suspiciously. Zhang Yu smiled triumphantly and said, I have a production tool, but you don't. After hearing Zhang Yu's explanation, Bai Zhenjin looked at Zhang Yu jealously. Your broken root is really useful. Early the next morning, Zhang Yu came to the 32nd floor of the Red Pagoda building. After expressing his intention at the front desk, he was arranged to wait in a small conference room. Listening to Audio Nova. Inside the Red Tower building in the city center. In front of an office desk, on the 32nd floor. Zhang Haohan opened his phone and saw the message from Zhang Wenwu. Zhang Wenwu, Xiong, you is a good person, he takes good care of me. Zhang Wenwu, if it's convenient, please help him out, brother Haohan. Zhang Haohan was a manager at Red Tower Breeding Company. The reason for his connection with Zhang Wenwu was primarily because they both came from the same breeding base. Their origin from different breeding bases was an important identity marker within Red Tower Ranch. Because when the vast majority of demon descendants share the same father, being born in a certain breeding base means they grew up and studied together with others from that base. It's a natural label that allows demon descendants to unite. Further subdivisions include which incubation room and dorm they were in at the breeding base, whether they had a junior high or high school education, if they attended Red Tower High School, which class they were in there, and their specific demon descendant race. Yes, although they are all classified as demon descendants in terms of citizenship, there are obviously huge differences between them. This difference is not only influential within the demon descendant community, but also for humans. Demon descendants are very different from each other. For example, turtle demons, toad demons, and the like are less popular, more easily discriminated against, and less likely to achieve success compared to bear demons, dog demons, and cat demons. Red Tower Ranch reduces the breeding numbers of these types of demon descendants every year. Under these layers of subdivision, various large and small groups have formed within Red Tower Ranch. Perhaps because they are easily discriminated against in the human world, or perhaps due to the lack of parents to rely on, demon descendants like to form these large and small groups. Zhang Haohan and Zhong Wenwu, besides coming from the same breeding base, also attended Red Tower High School, were both students in demonstration classes, and both belonged to the bear demon race. This allowed Zhang Wenwu to get to know Zhong Haohan, a senior, early on through alumni, associations, and bear demon groups. Especially in the bear demon group, Zhang Haohan, a bear demon senior who became a manager at the breeding company after just 3 years of work, was practically a goal that countless bear demons aspired to. He was a social elite who sat in the office building all day, watching the world change, with a stable income, able to repay loans on time, and work overtime freely. But seeing the message from Zhong Wenwu at this moment, Zhang Haohan thought to himself, "Little brother, you think too highly of me." Looking at Zhang Yu's information, Zhang Haohan thought, "I'm just a small employee in the company. Even if I wanted to offer more for this Songyang High School student, I can't. Our fertility bank research team, they don't take just any trash." Although Zhang Haohan, after becoming the company's overtime machine, no longer had the energy, time, or interest to care about the trends in the high school education world, and knew nothing about Zhang Yu, a student who had recently been making waves in the 3 major high schools. But one thing was deeply ingrained in the mind of this Red Tower High School graduate. Besides the 3 major high schools, are graduates from other high schools even qualified to sell seeds. Songyang High School? Isn't printing this just a pure waste of paper? But as Zhang Haohan continued to read, seeing Zhang Yu's monthly exam results, competition results, and various data, he was greatly surprised. This is from Songyang High School? Could this be from Songyang High School? And Zhang Yu is already this strong in his first year of high school. I don't know how much money he's invested. Does he still need to sell? Zhang Haohan sighed internally. Sure enough, high school cultivation is a bottomless pit. As long as you want to spend money, there are plenty of places to spend it. The money is never enough. But no matter what, his talent and potential are indeed very strong. However, given my position, I have limited pricing power, and I probably can't offer a price that satisfies him. After thinking about Zhang Wenwu's request again, Zhong Haohan still used his authority to report Zhang Yu's situation. "This is all I can do. How much money he can get in the end depends on his own luck and ability." What was unexpected to Zhong Haohan was that soon after, there was a response from above, asking him to arrange a time to meet with Zhang Yu as soon as possible. So the meeting time was directly set for early the next morning. And the next morning, shortly after Zhang Yu sat down in the conference room, Zhong Haohan hurried over. Hello, I am Zhong Haohan." After shaking hands with Zhang Yu, Zhong Haohan said warmly, "There's something I need to trouble you with. It's not that we don't trust the test results from Songyang High School, but we want to obtain some more precise data about you, Zhang Yu, primarily your mana and physical strength. These 2 things are most closely related to bloodline inheritance. With precise data, we can discuss further." How does that sound? Since Zhang Yu had come here, he naturally wouldn't refuse. So soon after, he completed the mana and physical strength tests within the company. Mana 88.14, physical strength level 8.09. Zhang Haohan first looked at the overall mana and physical strength data, and then looked at various physical data such as blood, routine, and urine routine tests. Zhang Haohan was secretly surprised. This mana and physical strength are quite a bit stronger than the results from his last monthly exam that he sent over. Has he made progress recently? He's only just about to enter his second year of high school, right? But this basic data is already at the level of a third-year high school student. No wonder the higher-ups are paying attention to his seed. It should be related to the latest fertility bank plan, right? Zhong Haohan knew that ever since the great development of Oasis Group's in vitro cultivation technology, Red Tower Ranch's original livestock and breeding markets had been shrinking. To reverse this situation, Red Tower Ranch began transforming while also selling off assets. They were targeting the customized fertility market and bloodline development. And in Zhang Haohan's view, Zhang Yu seemed to be a very good asset, perhaps able to increase the success rate of Red Tower Ranch's transformation. Then Zhang Haohan began discussing the specific seed transaction with the other party. But soon after, he frowned. You're only selling research rights, not breeding rights? Seeing Zhang Yu nod, Zhang Haohan said, if you only sell research rights, you won't get a high price. To be honest, we can offer you at most a little over 100,000, tops. Your talent is so great, certainly many people would be willing to breed your bloodline. There will be no small profit in this. While Zhang Haohan was trying to persuade him, Fuji said in Zhang Yu's mind, you absolutely must not agree to sell the breeding rights. We're just here to earn some pocket money. As for breeding bloodlines, although you can earn a large sum now, if you climb to the upper levels of Kongshu in the future, the matter of descending bloodlines can be a bit troublesome. The karma involved could be used by opponents, and it's even possible for people to cast Taoist spells based on bloodline. From a long-term perspective, it's best for you not to have descendants for now. Zhang Yu had naturally heard Fuji's reminder long ago, and he didn't budge when faced with Zhang Haohan's persuasion. Just as Zhang Haohan was organizing his words, thinking about how to continue talking with Zhang Yu, a phone call came in. Zhang Yu saw Zhang Haohan's body suddenly stiffen after answering the phone, then he kept nodding and bowing, saying yes repeatedly, and finally hung up the phone with a respectful expression. Then Zhang Haohan looked at Zhang Yu with surprise and said, a very important person is very interested in you and wants to talk to you personally. So under Zhang Haohan's guidance, Zhang Yu followed him to the 333rd floor of the Red Tower building and stopped in front of a huge golden door. Zhang Haohan swallowed, looking at the door with some longing and some fear, and said, you go in. I haven't been approved to go in, I'll wait for you outside. So Zhang Yu pushed open the door and stepped in. And the first thing he saw after walking in was something like an underwater tunnel in an aquarium. Above him was a giant artificial seawater pool, stretching, as far as the eye could see, with various marine creatures Zhang Yu knew or didn't know swimming within it. He even saw many demon fish with dragon scales and dragon horns. Zhang Yu walked forward for dozens of meters before reaching a huge office. Behind the office, a whale was slowly swimming in the seawater, visible through the glass. A figure over 3 meters tall stood with his back to Zhang Yu, looking at the swimming whale and saying, isn't the office environment here quite good? Every time I make a major decision, I like to come here and feel the tranquility of the ocean. The person turned around, revealing a beautiful face that seemed both male and female. A few fine dragon scales on the face did not detract from his beauty, instead, they added a mysterious aura-like decorations. A pair of dragon horns on the forehead exuded an imposing presence, causing Zhang Yu to hold his breath unconsciously. And although this dragon person was 3 meters tall, he was not as burly as Song Hailong or Zhao Tianxing, but rather closer to a normal human physique. Simply draped in a black and gold robe, he exuded an elegant and noble temperament. At this moment, this dragon person was smiling at Zhang Yu and slowly said, Zhang Yu, I like you. Are you interested in becoming my adopted son? Zhang Yu was slightly startled and said in surprise, you are the Black Dragon director of Red Tower High School? The father of those demon descendants? Zhang Yu secretly thought trouble. He hadn't expected that selling a seed would attract the attention of such a prominent figure. And Director Long looked at Zhang Yu before him, as if looking at a high-quality seed, one that would surely create considerable profit in Red Tower Ranch's future transformation plan. In fact, Red Tower's company transformation this time was not only due to the influence of Oasis Group, but also based on the director's judgment of the future. In the view of this director Long, the major aristocratic families on the first level of Kongshu, after years of development, had already seized control of various positions, and their monopoly on the entire first level of Kongshu had penetrated into all aspects. In the future world, there is no place for commoners, or rather, future commoners will only come from the impoverished branches of aristocratic families. Local aristocratic families are the biggest market. And as the aristocratic families monopolize, commoners gradually withdraw from competition. The next step will be fierce competition among the aristocratic families. Then at this time, the immortal path potential of descendants becomes incredibly important. Aristocratic families in various places will increasingly value the modification of their descendants' bloodlines, reproduction, and talent enhancement. I heard that in Xiong capital, there are already examples of aristocratic families using the immortal path to modify their descendants starting from the bloodline. In the dragon human's view, powerful families would be gradually annexed by even more powerful families. This was the trend of the first layer of Kongshu in the future. With increasingly fierce competition, mass production and optimization of descendants like Hongta would inevitably become the breeding model for more and more wealthy families in the future. Continuously combining the advantages in the bloodline to breed offspring that are stronger than the previous generation. He always believed that Hongta had a considerable advantage in this regard and could quickly seize the market. The only pity was that the past Hongta group was too immersed in the beast and demon spawn markets, lacking enough and excellent human seeds. In particular, the excellent genes of many wealthy families would not be easily leaked, making it difficult for them to obtain. Looking at Zhang Yu in front of him, the dragon human felt like he saw a future star product. He thought to himself, the top genius of Songyang City, with many competition awards, especially since his data has already reached the level of a senior in high school, before he even reached his second year. As long as the advantageous elements in his bloodline are extracted, even directly using his seed to improve the bloodline and breed excellent offspring, should be of interest to many rich people. If an exclusive agreement can be signed, the income will be even higher. Thoughts flashed through the dragon human's mind like lightning. He laughed and said, "Don't be restrained. If you're willing, you can call me Godfather now." Zhang Yu didn't speak. If it were 1 or 2 weeks after arriving in Kongshu, when he was at his poorest and most powerless, and didn't understand Kongshu deeply, he might have already knelt down and called him father. But now, especially after learning a lot about Hongta's animal husbandry, he wouldn't dare call him Godfather casually. Zhang Yu understood that Godfather and Godson were just packaging. The various contracts and agreements that followed were probably all traps. The dragon human said, "Oh? You're not willing. I can offer you pretty good conditions. How about the position of fertility director at Hongta, animal husbandry?" The dragon human slowly walked to Zhang Yu's side and said in a seductive tone, "After becoming the fertility director, you can freely restrict the personal freedom of any employee in the company, deprive them of their self-will, and squeeze them dry of everything. Don't you want this kind of power?" Zhang Yu was slightly stunned when he heard this. "Isn't that illegal?" The dragon human chuckled and snapped his fingers, saying, "Zhang Haohan, work overtime tonight. I want to see the next round of fertility advertising plan by tomorrow morning." A respectful voice came from the communicator. "Okay, I'll do it right away." The dragon human then looked at Zhang Yu and said, "Don't you want to try it? As long as you're willing. Countless demon spawn can be like this, listening to your every word." Zhang Yu frowned and said, "Aren't they all your sons? Is that the treatment of a son? Will the treatment of a godson really be better?" The dragon human said, "That depends on the specific contract details, doesn't it? I'm not the kind of guy limited by blood ties. Those who don't sign a contract with me, even if they have my blood, aren't my sons. Those who sign a contract, even if they don't have my blood, can be my sons. I can give you a contract with sufficiently superior conditions that will definitely satisfy you. Once you sign it, you'll be my godson, with better treatment and a higher status than a son. In the future, maybe I can even pass on my position as director to you." The dragon human's words were full of temptation. If it were an ordinary high school student, he would probably be unable to restrain himself and want to discuss the contract. But Zhang Yu had at least experienced various temptations and encountered various traps. Facing the temptation of this black dragon director, He didn't dare to agree at all. Zhang Yu waved his hands repeatedly and said, "Alas, I also want to sign, but it really won't work. You should know that I've already signed with Zhang Pianpian. Due to the contract, I can't be your godson." Zhang Pianpian. The dragon human took a deep look at Zhang Yu, feeling some surprise in his heart. This kid can't even see a little bit of temptation? Is his head so clear? No, it's not just clear. He understood that even many people with clear minds couldn't be completely unmoved when faced with a pie falling from the sky. The feeling Zhang Yu gave him was already very similar to many old guys who had been badly scammed. How badly did Zhang Pianpian scam him? How could his vigilance be so strong? The dragon human then said with an understanding expression, "I can understand that you're restricted by the contract. It doesn't matter if you don't want to be a godson. How about seed borrowing?" The dragon human clapped his hands, and immediately, beauties of various heights, weights, and temperaments appeared, including many demon spawns such as fox demons and cat demons. The dragon human said, "Leave your seed in their bodies. I'll give you 100,000 for each one you complete. As long as your stamina is enough, I'll pay for as many as you want." Looking at Zhang Yu, who was breathing heavily, the dragon human thought to himself, as expected, this high school student's ki and blood are strong. After restoring his fertility, his resistance in this area is even worse. Plus, the price I offered. Zhang Yu shook his head with difficulty, throwing the numbers of 100,000 out of his head, one by one. No need, I'll just sell the research rights." The dragon human's eyes narrowed slightly. "I've given you enough sincerity, haven't I? Since you're not willing to call me godfather or accept my invitation. Am I being too easy to talk to?" A terrifying pressure came over him, as if to force Zhang Yu to kneel on the ground. Zhang Yu could only grit his teeth and say, I signed a contract with Zhang Pianpian after all." The dragon human frowned and thought to himself, the contract Zhang Pianpian signed with him even covers this. Is the scope so large? At this moment, he looked at Zhang Yu with a hint of pity. The dragon human couldn't help but think of the time thousands of years ago, when slaves and servants were very popular in this world. At that time, whether slaves could have offspring, how they had offspring, and how many offspring they had were all managed by the master. However, the slave market gradually disappeared, and then the talent market emerged. It was relatively rare to manage things like reproduction and offspring. "I didn't expect Zhang Pianpian to manage you so strictly." The dragon human sighed slightly and patted his shoulder, saying, "You've worked hard. What if it's a man? Is that also a breach of contract?" Just as Zhang Yu felt a shock in his heart, he saw the dragon human's figure change. The face that was neither male nor female became even more enchanting, and many female characteristics were added to his body. The dragon human smiled and said, "Or am I neither male nor female, neither dragon nor human? Is that also a breach of contract? If you don't like this appearance, give me a dozen minutes for surgery, and I can change it at any time. What do you think?" Zhang Yu retreated repeatedly, looking embarrassed and saying, "Really not, that also violates the contract." The dragon human smiled faintly and had already changed back. "That's fine then. Research rights it is. Go sign the contract." Watching Zhang Yu leave, the dragon human's eyes suddenly turned cold. He didn't know what he was thinking. It seemed that the pity and kindness just now were just an illusion. A fox demon came to the dragon human's side, put his arms around him, and said softly, "Director, do you value this Zhang Yu's seed so much?" The dragon human said, "Originally, I just thought his bloodline should be good. I wanted to keep it as material for the fertility bank, which should make a lot of money. But if he's really restricted so much by the contract, I'm even more curious about whether there's any secret in his bloodline. I just don't know if what this kid said is true or false. But in any case, this kid doesn't seem to be the kind of poor guy who can be coaxed with a little temptation. Let the research team hurry up and study his seed. If there really is any mystery, then we'll find a way then." Several hours later. Inside the apartment. As the apartment door opened, Jiang Yu walked in triumphantly. Bai Zhenzhen turned her head and looked at Zhang Yu's somewhat weak appearance, wondering, did it work? "How much did you sell it for?" Jiang Yu smiled proudly and said, "I wasn't prepared this time, and the amount was a bit small. I sold it for 150,000. If they still want it next week, I can sell it again." "So much?" Bai Zhenjin said with envy, that's too profitable, right? At this moment, Bai Zhenjin only hated that she couldn't make money as easily as Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu waved his hand and said, Ah Shen, don't worry about money. If there's not enough, you can borrow it from me first. Dad. Bai Zhenjin quickly hugged Zhang Yu and said, it's hard for you to make money. Zhang Yu nodded with emotion. It's quite tiring, it consumes a lot. Is there anything to eat at home? Bai Zhenjin quickly ran to get food. There's still the uneaten, medicinal, beast, meat, from the last meal. I'll get it for you to eat. She brought the food and massaged Zhang Yu, while encouraging him, Dad, eat more, get more protein, and try to sell more money next time. Our family is all counting on you. Zhang Yu sighed secretly, knowing that this money wouldn't last long, and thought I still have to improve my potential quickly. Thinking of this, he quickly contacted Yu Xing'an to ask him to go to the spirit world's questioning hall. Inside a quiet room in White Dragon High School, Yu Xing'an was sitting cross-legged on the ground, his eyes closed, silently breathing in spiritual energy. However, the mature figure of Li Zulian constantly flashed in his mind, disturbing his peace of mind. Alas! This can't go on. The harm of this source of trouble is too great. But if I just get rid of it like this, how will I cultivate the Tiangong Qigong? I can't never cultivate this martial art, can I? After thinking for a moment, Yu Xing'an finally contacted realist Xinghe, and decided to ask his master for advice. Hello. Master, I have a friend, that's Zhang Yu. He encountered some problems. More than 10 minutes later, Yu Xing'an frowned as he hung up the phone. Realist Xinghe gave his friend a very simple suggestion, just 2 points. Either keep the source of trouble, temper his will, overcome the desires in his heart, and continue to practice Tiangong Qigong. This is the path of the strong, but it will inevitably delay his improvement in the next period of time. Or get rid of the source of trouble, and temporarily not practice Tiangong Qigong. Although this is an escape, it will not affect his recent improvement, but if he wants to practice Tiangong Qigong in the future, then if he escapes this time, it may be even more difficult to endure then. The two paths have their own advantages and disadvantages, making it difficult for Yu Xing'an to choose for a while. Just then, he saw Zhang Yu's call, and suddenly had an idea.